Originally, I meant to build something completely different, but then I randomly had so many cool ideas from the science lab lot from Get to Work, so I guess that's what I'm building instead now. Unfortunately though, getting to that science lab place isn't that easy. You actually have to be a scientist. So, Jerry, I hope you're ready for your new dream job. Given the fact that my headcanon for him is that he has like a brain cell, this can only go well. Okay, here we are. First step is to absolutely wreck this place. But before anybody panics, I didn't actually immediately wreck this place. I did make sure to pack up all of the required items into a room that I saved. And so that way I hopefully won't forget anything that I'll need in my build. But by the way, I should probably explain my idea. Ignore the naked ghost of one of the Sims from a previous video. I don't even know how he got here. I didn't forget you, okay? I will build your family's house at some point. I'll get to it. I'm basically thinking we could build like a regular old lab, but then also in the back somewhere, I'm thinking of creating like a glass dome. But kind of just using this, what is this called? Circular roof. And then, you know, forming it into a dome like this and using one of the glass textures to, you know, you see me, you feel me. This lot is also called the, did I like test my magic realm lot on here? You discover wild things in your test save file, you do. But I'm thinking we could place like all of the, excuse me? There we go. We could place like all of the alien plants in here. We could like make a lab that's sort of studying aliens, growing alien plants and stuff like that, researching them. I even made an ugly sketch to sort of draw out the floor plan, kind of what I'm going for. And so yeah, we'll probably totally work out great and I'm totally not gonna have to start over. I think I'm gonna start over. Because, I mean, I like it, I think, but, well, I made a realization about it that I didn't like. I already realized that I didn't have enough room in here and that I was gonna have to make another building over here. That person is using this. Oh no. That's gotta be the most annoying thing ever. Imagine you're a sim and you're just trying to work and then I, God, comes along. It's like, I want to redo this. Let me completely move everything around. But so the reason why I'm not feeling this is because my main idea, the main thing that I thought was really cool was to, you know, have this dome with all of the alien plants and stuff in here. But I realized with this setup, the Sims would always just be in this building right here or in this building right here. And then maybe whenever you need plants, which you do sometimes, you would come in here. But they would probably not even be using this main dome at all, especially because the way to get there is using this staircase right here. And then you have this very long path up here. And the time you get every day is quite limited. I don't know for how long he works, but like you know, you only get until 7 p.m. And walking over here takes at least a minute, so 1 hour in game. So I think I want to redo this to where all of the lot, like the whole thing, is just one dome with all of the alien stuff in it. And then I think I want to put all of the scientist items in there, which I guess wouldn't be very realistic because, like, for example, this construction thingy. Wait, the invention constructor, huh? That was almost right. Wouldn't make a whole lot of sense for that thing to go into this dome. But you know what? I'm more so going for style rather than realism, so I think it's fine. And then, I mean, this is like meant to be a secret alien research station in the first place, so I think realism probably already went out the door. Or did it? Who knows? Who knows? And then maybe, if you're eagle-eyed, you maybe already spotted the fact that I used these Strangerville doors down here. That's another thing. I was going to use all of the Strangerville things for this as well, because I don't think I want this to be part of my save file where I have this like thing where I try and limit packs. And I thought Strangerville maybe has a lot of cool like lab items, but honestly, maybe I'm not going to use, I think maybe I'm just going to use get to work, and that would probably make this way more downloadable as well, because I don't think a lot of people have Strangerville. I think I'm going to save this just in case I change my mind. But yeah. Here I go again. And boy, I am so glad that I decided to go again, because what I ended up with, I think, turned out so much cooler than my initial idea. And to be fair, I also, like I said, I think I liked my initial idea as well, but this is just so much more fun, just having one big dome. And so you can see that's what I'm trying to build right now, and it's kind of, I don't know, it's really difficult. It kind of took a lot of mental gymnastics to try and get it all symmetrical. So you'll see me place like a lot of different rooms and different walls and stuff everywhere to like try and get this correct. I'm not sure if you're even going to see it very well in the time lapse, but I also remember having to like count out the tiles a lot, being like, okay, 1 2 3 4 5 on this side, and then 1 2 3 4, oh no, and then trying to do it all over again. And yeah, it's kind of a struggle, especially at a scale this large. I mean, this dome ends up being massive. Although considering that, there isn't actually that much space in the end for your Sims to actually walk around. Because at this stage, what you're watching right now, I was kind of worried that it was going to be really empty because I was just going to struggle to fill all that space. But in the end, that was not an issue at all. In fact, in the end, I was worried that some areas may be too small. But I actually think that's a good thing, because that way I won't have that problem again where it might take my Sims too long to get to a place. Which I of course want to avoid, because you only, like I said, get a certain amount of hours in a day, and it's not that much. But no, that's not going to be an issue at all. And to help with it, I also made sure to place all of the important objects closer together, again to hopefully reduce the traveling times in between. Speaking of traveling, you can see me building the way to get down here right now, which is again going to be via a staircase. So the way I'm going to make it is basically that there is going to be like a teeny tiny little house, sort of kind of extension of the dome. That will actually have the front door, and the Sims can walk through there and then walk downstairs. And then they'll pop out at the very bottom of the dome. And if they want to get up to that second level, because I added like a, you know, I mean, you can see it, that second floor, where you can then look down into the dome, which I think is such a cool feature that I added here as well that I didn't have in my initial idea. But yeah, there's going to be another staircase inside that I can actually walk up on. So right now, the big staircase will take you to the very bottom of the dome. And then later on, I also add another door that will take you to the mid section. And then to get in, I made sure to add little decontamination chambers, which is nothing special. It's just basically an extra room that they have to walk through. And just a little small, I think it was just a 4x4. Or wait, no, I don't know how to math. A 2x2, 4 in total. Ooh, and then right here is where I had the idea to make little walkways. So basically, I was like, does it make a lot of sense for all of the scientists to actually walk around on the alien grass? Which, by the way, we don't have alien grass. Like, it's kind of mean. I'm not sure what 6M, like the alien planet, looks like exactly. Which, by the way, maybe I should have explained that first. Not to spoil an expansion pack that has been out for like, oh my gosh, over 10 years? Oh no. But with a scientist career, it's pretty cool. You can actually either upgrade the rocket ship or build your own like magic portal, well, not magic, techie portal that can take you to a hidden neighborhood, which is 6M, the alien planet. Does that sound like I just made that up? I promise that's real. You can actually do it. The neighborhood itself looks pretty cool. It's not really that special because you can't really do anything there other than meet aliens and collect like a few exclusive plants and bring them home. And I think that's pretty much it as far as I'm aware. But yeah, it's fun, and it also looks pretty cool because they have like, that's what I was just talking about, wasn't it? I think they have like blue grass and everything, like sort of teal. I think it's very pretty. And so I want to cheat to get all of the secret items from the secret planet to place in here, and that's how I'm going to make my alien landscape. That weird like rift thing with the rocks, whatever that is also one of the things that you can find on the alien planet. Doesn't have any gameplay tied to it, it just looks cool, but I already just placed that down to remind myself that I want to use it later. But then yeah, I was gonna say you don't actually get the cool bluegrass though. As a whole, I feel like a lot of our ground textures that we can paint with in build mode is quite limited. Even if you have a lot of packs, I mean, obviously I deactivated all of them right now, but I get the feeling even when I'm playing with all of them, I always have trouble finding something that looks good because there aren't that many options. So what I ended up using is this sort of rocky texture. I guess they're just kind of pebbles or something like that, which to be fair is not even that inaccurate. I'm pretty sure, again, I don't remember that alien planet secret neighborhood that well at this point. But I'm pretty sure that does also have a lot of like rocks and like a stony ground texture in a lot of spots as well. So yeah, I think we're going to get this fairly accurate in the end. And by the way, maybe I should explain how this whole thing works, like what this is, which might be a bit difficult. But basically what I made is a big hole. That much is clear. And so the lowest floor of our dome is actually the ground floor as far as the game is concerned, where you might be like, well, why didn't you use a basement then if you wanted something like lowered in the ground? Wouldn't that have made way more sense? And maybe that would have made things way more easy for me, especially because with a basement you don't get these ugly gaps in the sides the way that I have them right now. But there is one big disadvantage of basements in this game that I don't like, which is that if you scroll down into a basement, the game will display, you know, the basement, the room, but then around it, it'll just have like an endless black void. And usually I don't mind this too much, but in this case, if I had made both of my floors that I am making right here into basements instead of lowering like upper floors down into the ground, we would have also gotten this black void surrounding it here as well. So what I'm getting at is, if you were to actually play on this, you would always be in a basement and you'd always have that black void. And if you're going to be here 5 days a week with your sim, I don't know, I feel like that might get depressing fast. So I made it in a way where, according to the game, this is technically the ground floor, so that you still see all of the surrounding area while you're down there with your camera. And then here you just saw me struggle to get the roof on, but in the end, luckily I made it. The roof was really easy to put on when I made like the tiny little domes, but here all of a sudden it got a lot more difficult. But the way that I handled it in the end was that the roof is kind of on its own level, like just by itself. So it's actually up a lot higher than you might think. And to get it to connect back to the ground, I just extended the eaves like way out. And then lastly, I just gave it that glass texture as well. I was thinking for a little bit to maybe not give it a glass roof and instead have it covered in some way, because if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's always night on that alien planet. But then I was like, no, I can't do that. If I'm gonna make a big dome, it needs to be a big glass dome. It just has to be. And this way, with the roof up on its own level, that's also really good for playing on here. I didn't even really think about it, but the way that it turned out just coincidentally was very convenient, because this way you can, you know, go down a floor with your camera and you'll have the roof out of the way always. Like I said, I didn't even think about that when I really probably should have. I almost built a version of this that was really annoying to navigate because the roof was always in the way, but luckily I got, well, lucky and accidentally made it so that it's nice and easy to get the roof out of the way. I love the glass roofs in this game. I love putting them absolutely everywhere. I just think it's really cool how like the sun shines through and actually renders all of the shadows correctly. And this got to be the biggest glass roof that I ever put anywhere, so needless to say, I'm a big fan. And yes, even though the roof is so big, the game still renders all of the shadows and stuff for me as well, which is so cool to watch. Oh, and then one thing that I was going to talk about earlier, but then I talked about literally everything else, was the fact that I added little ponds in here. And at first I was like, oh my gosh, this is finally my chance to use that weird water. Because you get different water textures, even with just the base game. You do get more with some of the packs, especially Get Together. But without any, there's also a few free textures that you get, and one of them is like red. One of them is like, alien water, right? And since that's kind of weird, I've never used it once. But here I was like, oh my gosh, this is finally my opportunity. But then I remembered that I'm pretty sure there is also water on 6M, the alien planet. But it's blue. It just looks pretty normal for an alien planet. Unless I'm misremembering, but I'm pretty sure there is water. Also, the alien trees that we're going to place in here are red. So I feel like if we had red trees and then red water at the same time, maybe that's a little bit too much red. So yeah, maybe we can use the weird red water or pinkish water, whatever color that is, some other day. Okay, this is where I'm at right now. I've built a little further, like I've added all of these rocks around here to basically patch up the little ugliness, because I have these like large gaps here just because of how terrain tools work, and there is nothing you can really do about it other than cover it up. So I placed all of these rocks here and then already started placing some grass, although I've realized I've made it dry grass because this is a desert, so that made sense to me. But then I had a look around, and honestly there is a lot of like green here, so might have to edit that a little bit. Other than that, the shell is pretty much like done, as in, you know, the basic idea of where everything is going to go. And I already played a full day on here because I just kind of wanted to test how well this works. And I finished with all of the tasks that I needed to get gold or to like fill this up here a lot quicker than my whole day. So now I just kind of have to make it pretty, furnish everything, put in all of the alien plants. That's the main thing, of course. And yeah, like I said, put some more plants maybe on the outside. But I think most of the work is done now, and especially the mental gymnastics of making all of this symmetrical. And yeah, I'm really liking how this is coming along, so let me send you off to the rest of the time lapse. Well, Loea of the past pretty much just said exactly what she was going to do in this time lapse. So, how's your guys' January? Mine is probably pretty bad. It's gonna be exam season for me again. I'm probably gonna study math while you're watching this. So, you know, fun. And then I'll also get old because my birthday is in January. Okay, but for real though, one thing I was also going to talk about is the rocket ship, because the science lab does need a rocket ship. That's also just part of one of the tasks that you can get every day. But on this lot with like a big glass dome, that's kind of a bit awkward because I wanted to place everything that you need inside, but realistically, the rocket should have gone somewhere else, right? But I just decided to place it in the dome anyway, in fact, right in the center. Which, might not be very smart, realistically. But I was thinking maybe we can pretend that the dome is not actually glass, but it's some other material that is, you know, technologically advanced some way, whatever. It's fantasy, right? That the rocket can just like phase right through. I'm thinking of like the hangars in Star Wars and whatnot. Maybe you shouldn't mention Star Wars in a Sims video. I'm sorry if I caused some PTSD right there. And then in a little bit here, you'll also see me place lights everywhere for if you come here at nighttime, which you cannot, I think. So this is also kind of overkill, but I don't know, it's weird to just have like a lot and not place any lights, like just in case. And who knows, maybe there is a way to get here at night that I don't know of. They don't even do that good of a job at lighting everything up, but at least we've got them. And then during the day, you know, the sun pretty much does all of the work. Although I'm not sure what it'll be like if you have seasons, because there it can happen that it's, you know, cloudy and stuff, and in that case I bet that maybe the lights would be quite useful. I know that's not something that I tested. In general, I'm kind of scared that this might break if it rains or it snows, which it shouldn't snow, but maybe it rains sometimes here. In which case, I'm not sure if the game will accept the roof as a roof. And if it rains on the electronics, I mean, the computers will definitely break, I know that. I'm not sure about all of the scientist stuff, like the constructor and the chemistry table thing and so on and so forth. But there is a good chance that they would also break if you leave them outside, or, you know, technically outside as far as the game is concerned. But hopefully not. Hopefully the game will be smart enough to realize that there is a big roof over all of this, but I'm not sure if it will. We're gonna have to see. Also, you might be wondering about this build. Yes, this is meant to be like a secret alien research station, right? I've not thought of like much of a story or anything, a little something. And I do think that, yes, this is probably a secret. The public probably has no idea that this is here. Where you might be like, okay, but then this seems pretty obvious because I didn't like put a big fence around it or anything on the lot. And originally I was thinking of doing that and fencing it in. But I then had a look around in the environment and I realized this place is already fenced in and it is already hidden. So yeah, there are these big scary looking fences surrounding this, and then it's kind of like behind a mountain as well, or a hill. If you zoom out really far, you can see there's like meant to be a main road, and the neighborhood is designed in a way where if you were to theoretically walk on that main road or drive on it, you wouldn't be able to see the science lab lot. So yeah, I wasn't really worried about hiding it because it is already hidden. And then additionally, I was thinking of how they got all of this alien stuff here. And maybe what a reason could be for why they built the alien lab in this specific spot and not maybe somewhere else. And my idea was that maybe a meteorite crashed here. Since, again, if you zoom out really far, you'll see that there are like craters in the environment here. And so maybe some meteorite that they found had all of the seeds for the plants here inside, and that's also why they constructed it in this specific spot, because they didn't want to transport the meteorite very far somewhere else in fear of maybe like breaking something, or I don't know. And now they're like studying the alien plants and also trying to find out from where they came, like what planet in the universe and whatnot. Something like that I think could be the story. Also, remember how I earlier said that I didn't want for this to be part of my save file? I think I changed my mind now, to be honest, because originally I of course couldn't because I wanted to build it with multiple packs, but now that I'm just building it with the base game and get to work only, I mean, I might as well put it in, because why not? And so yeah, might as well put it in for anybody who wants to play with a scientist career. And anybody who doesn't play with it wouldn't discover this anyway, so like, why not? I'm sorry that makes it a bit all over the place with me changing my mind about it in the middle, but I guess that's what you get when you record clips while you're actually still making it. And then right now, you're finally watching me put in all of the alien trees. Finally, the main thing that I wanted to do. And this actually turned out a little more difficult than I thought it was going to be honest. Because, to my surprise, there aren't actually that many alien trees. I mean, to be fair, I've also never used them, so I don't know why I had expectations for them. But for some reason, I expected there to be at least one alien tree that's like a bit bigger. But no, for some reason they only come in pretty small and even smaller, like that's the two sizes. And I mean, yeah, you can size things up in this game, and that's also what I did for a lot of them. But to be fair, in the end, I realized that I probably couldn't have used pretty tall trees anyway, because it would have just blocked the view of everything and that would have been really inconvenient. But then I was kind of struggling with the fact that I didn't have much height, and so everything was like quite, well, I mean, relatively low to the ground. So I did come in and add some rocks sort of attached to the wall or leaning against the wall everywhere. And that helped a little bit, but I still felt like, I don't know, I could use some taller trees. But like I said, I didn't want to block the view. What I ended up doing was place trees up on the upper level, but in the area that you're probably not going to use that much. You're gonna understand what I mean by that better, I think, in the actual final tour. But there are some areas upstairs in the back that I don't think will be used much, if at all. And so that's where I place the taller trees that kind of block all of the view over there. But again, I figured it's fine because you're not going to be there as much. And that way, it made it seem nice and lush, and like we do have taller trees a little bit. And so yeah, I feel like that balanced it out in the way that I was going for. And by the way, yes, I did place some actual plants, as in not the decorative ones, but the actual crops, I guess, if that's what you want to call it, down in the dome. Like I explained earlier, if you were to actually go to that neighborhood, that alien planet of 6M, there are some exclusive plants that you can bring home and grow in your own garden. And at first I was considering not placing any of those at all. Since, you know, if you were to play as a scientist, you're meant to actually do the work and get to that alien place yourself, to bring the plants home yourself. I feel like it would have been maybe a bit boring if they were already there. Yeah, like how rewarding would it be to actually bring home your own plants from the alien planet and add them in here? But then it's also kind of fun to have them already. What I ended up doing is I just used one of the plants, but not all of them, and I used the weird tentacle tree. So yeah, that's going to be already on here for you to do science with, and then if you want the rest of the alien plants, you're gonna have to actually do the gameplay. Hopefully that's a good compromise. Not that you can probably see me place them in very well, because the time-lapse is quite fast. This is 8 times sped up, mostly because I like 8 times, like just speed-wise, but also at 9 times my software starts lagging. So, you know, it kind of made that decision for me. I swear, I'm sorry, this is completely unrelated, kind of, but there has got to be some sort of conspiracy theory with editing softwares, right? Because why do they all suck? I mean, I haven't tested all of them for myself, obviously not, because there's so many, so I don't know that for sure. But it feels like I keep hearing from other people like, oh my gosh, I hate my editing software, it keeps crashing and everything. Yeah, same here. So like, what's up with that? Will we ever know? I don't know, but what I do know is that it's nearly complete, so I shall send you off to the tour. It's done. It's complete. I think it turned out so cool. There's only there is only one thing. Have a look at this. I can't. Why does the gallery keep doing this to me? I can't. I'm kind of sad that I didn't get my actual first reaction for this on camera. I literally covered like my mouth with my hand. I just went, oh no. Well, that's great. At least the second picture looks okay. But anyway, let's not get distracted by that. And it's time for a little tour. So all of the Sims should spawn somewhere out here. And then you can walk through this door. This like my main entrance right here. And this will take you to just a creepy little staircase in here. One level down, you can go through these doors. You have like a little double door situation here because, again, like I said, I have like decontamination chambers to get in. Because of course we don't want to bring anything in from the outside and we don't want to bring anything out from the inside. And we'll get to all of this in just a second. But if you were to walk the stairs even further down, you get into this little bigger decontamination chamber, and then right here in this space I also put a bigger bathroom, which is kind of looking very well industrial, kind of creepy, but yeah, that's of course exactly what I was going for. And back here there is also a shower. There is also a shower in the other bathroom, which might seem a little strange, but there is actually sometimes a task for the scientists to take a thoughtful shower. And oh wait, this is what this is meant to look like. But I was gonna say, sometimes there is a task to take a shower for some reason. And so, yeah, I did make sure to put showers on here so that you can actually complete that task. And look at how cool this turned out. Do you know what though? Can I put a trim on this? Wait, maybe that'll look cooler. That's how this always goes. You think you're done and then you save it and then you have like 30 more ideas that could go in. I think this is probably the closest match. Yeah, that's cool. And then on the other side as well. Ah yeah, now we don't have that weird white line going across. Yeah, okay. There is a staircase down here into this kind of little area with not much going on. There are some alien plants that I place here that should grow in if you do decide to actually play on here. And there is also, you can't really see it at all like this, but there is a cow plant hidden over here that should also grow in. I don't know, I thought cow plants maybe matched the alien vibes, and maybe, that's kind of mean, but maybe that thing will eat somebody and it'll make your work day here more entertaining. You can then use this walkway over here to get to this first, like, station, I guess? And so on here, you'll find the actual gameplay items, like computers and this chemistry thing. And then over here, we also have this analyzer. And then in the middle, I placed this bubbly thing. Wait, can we actually... See, there's actual bubbles in live mode. Originally, I used the actual meteorite item for in here, but I decided to change it because the meteorite comes with an actual crater. Like, if you cheat to get it and you place it down, there will be an actual, like, crater around it, and that didn't look too great because it's, you know, kind of floating in the air. So instead, I replaced it with this collectible thingy. It's like a fossilized alien skull that, you know, you can also find through gameplay. I think this is actually even cooler because there is even an option to like study it, which doesn't do anything really, but it's kind of fun. And so yeah, I'm still going with that idea that this is maybe a meteorite that fell down in this area that had all of the like seeds for the plants that they have here. And that's how this like lab here got started in the first place. So I thought it would make a lot of sense maybe if they kept it on display like this. Down here in the sort of middle quad section, you have the rocket ship, which I already started a little bit to just kind of see how big it is. And it is a tight fit, but your Sims can still walk around it and everything, so it should be fine. Next up, they can use this other long walkway over here. And there is another little section that you can go down on with, again, not much to do here, but I did place one of the microscopes because why not? And there is another alien tree back there, so there will be quite a few growing in if you play on here. I think I hit some more like in this area over here, like there is another, for example. And then on this side over here is where that construction thingy is, as well as a computer. Other than that, just some decorative stuff. But yeah, I think this area is just so cool. I really like how industrial it turned out and kind of like dirty a little bit because of this texture. Over here we have these very long stairs up onto this other level. I did place like sort of a front desk over here because if we, I bet this person is actually, wait. Why is it not showing up? Oh, it's because I was on another level, but yeah, this guy is a receptionist, so one of these guys that will spawn along with you can sometimes apparently just be a receptionist, and they'll apparently like this front desk item, so I decided to place that for them here. And maybe this could be like, you know, the manager and whatnot. Other than that, there is more workstations here, like, again, the chemistry thing and the analyzer, and also some bookshelves, because, again, sometimes you get a task randomly that is to just read a book. There may be some other obscure ones that maybe I missed that won't be able to be completed on this lot here because I just, like, missed a random object. Because I had no idea that read a book or, you know, take a shower was one of the tasks that can show up. So maybe there are some other ones that I didn't know about. If that happens, feel free to edit this. I mean, there is plenty of space probably in lots of different areas. Other than that, over here we have lots of like decorative stuff everywhere that doesn't do anything, but also another microscope. This guy is so happy to be using this. Oh my gosh. And then over here are all of the plants. I actually brought over the original stuff from the original lot, except for this one. I don't know what happened here. It must have gotten just lost when I saved the room and placed it down here again, because I had something in all of these pots, but mysteriously nothing came with this one, so I have no clue what happened here. Other than that, I also provided you with these 3 bigger planters, so if you find any plants that you want to plant Got plenty of space for that. And then over here through these doors, oh, first of all, little dangerous telescope if you want to use this. Funnily enough, with one of these pictures right next to it, that's very fitting, honestly. I didn't even think about that. But you can come through these big doors over here, and then you get into my little break room with this view. I mean, what the heck? This turned out so cool. This feels like straight out of a movie. I'm so very proud of how this came out, like this view. But yeah, this is where we just were. So this is, again, my decontamination room through here. And oh, yeah, in free cam mode, you can see the rest of the glass roof that reaches through here. Obviously, this is not something that you'll see if you actually play just normally, even with all of your walls up. But yeah, in free cam, this part is kind of a bit annoying. But yeah, as for the break room, we just have like a big table, big sofa, a teeny tiny kitchen where you can grab snacks out of this thing. And then over here, there's a smaller bathroom where you can also see we have the same problem where you will see part of the dome in free cam mode. But don't worry, if you actually play it from the normal view, this will not show up. But yeah, this is pretty basic as well. Just toilet, shower, sink. Yeah. Other than that, if I go back to this middle section, over here we have the bigger telescope where you can look at the stars from. And then that's pretty much the main area that I think you're going to be in if you actually play on this. And this is kind of by design, because I think if I had put like important stuff all the way back here also, it would have taken so long for your Sims to make the journey all the way around. Up here on this upper level, this over here is pretty much the only places where you're going to be. And then obviously down here, this sort of station by the rocket ship, and then this sort of station is where you're going to mainly be. And maybe over here if you want to use the bathroom. And hopefully they'll make your, I mean, if you actually want to play on this, your experience as smooth as possible. The rest of this is interesting too. I mean, it's designed in a way where you probably won't need it all that often. But this room is pretty cool as well, for example, because, well, I mean... it's nothing, but the idea with this room is that's like a testing chamber. That's also why we have these cool windows over here, although then we also have like these, so it's not really that protected, is it? But the idea is that whenever you make like little inventions on the constructor, or sometimes you also invent like serums, sort of potions, right? If you want, you could come in here and place all of the stuff in here and test all of the stuff in here. And I don't know, I thought it would be maybe cool to have like a dedicated spot to place all of the stuff that you're going to make. If you walk through here, you'll walk past literally nothing important. This is all just decorative stuff. And the same goes for this back room as well. We have like a little medical station right here, which I thought might be useful, like in theory, for if we imagine this was a real place, because maybe sometimes people get hurt. I imagine this might just be a dangerous job. But yeah, you won't actually be able to use any of this. And then similarly over here, we have like a prison cell with just a creepy little chair. I was like, what if we do find aliens? Where do we put them? And so I made this like little creepy alien prison. Is that deranged? I mean, shouldn't be surprising at this point. And then back through this door, we have more stuff that literally does nothing and is just decorative. And then back here, you have the break room again. So that's one loop upstairs. Oh no, I forgot. Oh, this is so ugly. No, don't look. But I forgot to paint a wall here. Oh no. This is exactly what I meant when I said that you save a thing and then you find like 30 more things to improve. Wait, this is not painted either. What am I doing? Bam, okay. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the tour. This lot is pretty big, so I hope that won't lag for you. For me, it honestly plays completely fine. It is a little awkward sometimes with like the camera. Oh wait, I think I'm getting a little frame drop right now. But to be fair, I am also recording and that takes away from it as well. But yeah, I hope there won't be any issues with your computer or anything. For me, it's completely fine, like I said. Also, one thing that you couldn't see just then ooh, because I had the game paused, is all of these little animated things. There is a ton of these. Oh, I also placed like the little magic sprite VFX in the water over here. Ooh, shut up! Shut up! And so yeah, I hope that stuff like that will also help make this place feel more alive and more alien. I can also show you what it looks like on the surface here all the way around, although there's just decorative stuff here. It's just rocks and a lot of plants. I've actually not tested if your Sims can walk through any of these. There is a chance that if you tell them to walk close by this, that they might clip through one or two objects, but I think it's fine, especially because you're not going to be out here a lot and more so, you know, inside. But yeah, again, I'm really proud of how this came out. I mean, just look at it. This is so cool. If you want to download this for your own game, I will of course put it on the gallery, and I will just keep the original name, FutureSim Labs. And so yeah, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end, and I'll see you in whatever I decide to make next.